All right, so the smoke has finally cleared. The dust has finally settled, and the first 32 picks of the NFL draft are finally complete. And it took all of, 5 minutes for there to be a first massive twist. It took all about 5 minutes to completely invalidate every single mock draft. And for something to happen that pretty much nobody saw coming. Like, we all knew Cam Ward would be the first one off the board to Tennessee. No twist there, no surprise there. We saw that coming. Congrats, Tennessee. You got your guy. You got your guy. He's one of the great stories of all time. He doesn't put mayo in his coffee. He doesn't eat bananas with the peel still on. And he's got this amazing journey where he went from a 0-star recruit to Incarnate Word, to Washington State, to Miami, to first overall pick in the NFL draft. How do you go from being a 0-star to the first pick overall? It's an amazing story. Miami. So the pick was predictable, but if I'm a Titan fan, I'm still pretty geeked. I'm still pretty optimistic about the future. I like it. But predictable. We all knew that was coming. What nobody saw coming were the Jaguars flying in out of nowhere and jumping up to number 2 overall to rip the unicorn, Travis Hunter. Duval. It was almost like the Jaguars were not playing by the rules. It was almost like the Jaguars were the newcomer that came in and stole the show.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Or smoke your cigarettes with actual filters. Now, I mean, anyway, seriously though, what a brass set on the new Wonder Boy GM, James Gladstone. I mean, this guy just gets this job. He's 36, he looks 26, and he just shows up, and that's what he does at his first draft. He pulls off a move like that in his first move. Not even first major move, but first real move as an NFL GM. This dude trades Jacksonville's second-round pick this year, their first-round pick next year, to move up 3 spots from 5 to 2. Pretty steep. Or as Daniel Jeremiah said on the program yesterday, that coffee is rich. A little too rich. But maybe not, right? This is why the Browns probably had to make that deal, because that coffee was so rich, because that's a deal they probably could not refuse. But damn, that had to be one tough kick in the stick for Browns fan. Am I right, Browns fan? Browns fan, you've had weeks and weeks, months even, to fall in love with the idea of Travis Hunter being one of your own. And it's such an easy idea to fall in love with too, right? As an example, yesterday, DJ was up in here talking about how big he would be for that fan base, and how he could give them another all-time icon along the likes of Jim Brown. And Ozzie Newsome. So it's pretty understandable right about now, Browns fan, if you feel like you got the rug ripped right out from underneath you, even if they did get very good value in return. Listen, Mason Graham is a really nice player. And Cleveland did end up with him at number 5. So I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying I feel for you, Browns fan, if you're feeling a little underwhelmed right now by how that played out, because you assumed it. We should know better to assume anything. Damn, Browns fan, you of all people should know better than to assume anything, right? And it's all out of your control. I'm not pointing the finger at you. I'm pointing the finger at your management. But you do get to pick first and fourth tonight. So at least there's that. I mean, you get a nice return. You get a very nice player. You've got a couple of picks tonight. You got all that. You just didn't get Trav. Hey, by the way, I have never seen anybody so happy to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. In fact, I've never seen anybody so happy, period. Look at my man's energy. Look, if you're on the stream, if you're watching TV, look at this dude's reaction to getting picked by the Jags. How do you not love that energy? How do you not want that energy around your football team? This dude is absurdly likable. And the thing is, he would have been exactly the same way and just that happy to be a Cleveland Brown too. Because this dude just has got the best attitude and the most positive vibe ever to go along with maybe the most varied football skill set ever. So in a sense, it's hard to overpay for a guy like this. Yes, the Jags did pay a premium price for that dude, but they're getting a premium player and a premium dude, a premium human being. And I thought that James Gladstone had some great quotes about it afterwards. Like this, quote, "There are players who have the capacity to alter a game. There are players who have the capacity to alter the trajectory of a team. There are very few players who have the capacity to alter the trajectory of the sport itself." I mean, damn, Jimmy, fire! Pretty audacious claim. But then again, trying to play both ways in the NFL is a pretty audacious ambition. Like, that's some Shohei type stuff right there. And he is potentially sport altering in that sense, because he might be able to pull it off. If anybody can, it's that guy. Gladstone, man. Dude, what a big brass set.
Steal the show.
Like, that dude's big brain. We know that. Big brain, but a big brass set. If you're watching him on the stream, look at that cat. I mean, he looks younger than my sons. He might be younger than my sons, but he knows ball. He knows ball, and he's been around. And he's been around success here in LA with the Rams, which he reminded everybody of last night. And he also reminded everybody that the Rams' success was built on a very unique draft strategy. I'll let the young genius jog your memory.
I probably got some familiarity with the them picks sort of process. So for our fans, I'll tell you, don't be scared. This is something I'm uniquely positioned to navigate.
I like it. I like it. I like that he just brought the F them picks.
F them picks.
F them
I
picks.
probably got some familiarity with the them picks.
F them picks. He
F
does
them
have
picks.
familiarity.
Them picks.
F them
He worked
picks.
with Les
Them
Snead.
picks.
He's seen it. He knows it. Duval. I like it. I like it. They gave up a lot. They gave up a lot. That was a haul for Cleveland. So, 2 questions. Duval, do you like it? Cleveland, do you like it? But Duval, you tell me, do you like the F them picks approach
F them
and the
picks.
fact that you
Them
got yourself a
picks.
unicorn who's coming home and couldn't be happier? So that was shocking. Shocking. You know, you hear all that, you see all that smoke about all these possible trades, and then it doesn't really happen. Then bam, right out of the gate. Then after that shocker, the Giants started their night, which I think turned out to be a pretty good night. They started their night by doing what we all expected them to do. They took Abdul Carter. And the reason I say that it's pretty good night, I say it's pretty good night because they did what I said they would do. They did what I said they should do. Take the elite prospect at number 3. The closest thing to a sure thing. Take the best player and then trade back into the first round and get yourself a quarterback, which is exactly what they did. And of course, we already knew who their quarterback was going to be because Joe Shane's kid tipped us all off on the gram. Remember? Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is a New York Giant. So they get their guy. That's their guy. Now, he may be their guy. I'm just not sure that he's Giant fans' guy. I'm not sure Giant fan feels as good about that pick as Giant team. As an example, it's a much better value pick than Daniel Jones at number 6 overall because everything is. But how much different is the player? Now, I don't want to judge a book by its cover. Dart looks a hell of a lot better than Dimes because Dimes looks like Jim Carrey. No offense, Carrey. I'll give Dart that. He looks much better. But, and the Giants do need some long-term plan of quarterback because we know that Russet Potato and Jameis are not the long-term solution. So they needed a young quarterback, and now they have one. But is it the long-term answer? I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. They don't know. I don't know. You don't know. Here's the only thing we do know. The long-term solution is not Shedeur Sanders. And that must have been a gigantic blast to the Sanders family's collective package to see Dart come off that board before the so-called legendary one. It's all right, though, right? Because you still got Pittsburgh, and you still got Pittsburgh at number 21. And there's no way in hell that Pittsburgh at 21 does not take Shedeur Sanders, right? They desperately need a quarterback. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming. They need a quarterback for the future. They've got that pick at 21, and there's Shedeur sitting right there in his custom draft room with his custom draft necklace. It's a given. It's a lock, right? Boy, you want to talk about another collective kick to the collective Sanders family junk. Wow. They did not take him at 21. Instead, they go with a D lineman, which was such a massive moment, right? Because not only did they pass on Shedeur, which was pretty surprising to me, honestly. And then we'll talk about the pick, and then you'll see where it's not that surprising. But in that moment, very surprising, right? But then more than that, it became pretty clear that the entire league was going to pass on Shedeur. Not just the Steelers, and not just the Giants twice, but the entire league was going to pass on Shedeur in that moment. Now, as far as the Steelers pick, it tells me a couple of things. Number one, they must be awfully confident that Aaron Rodgers is still coming. But number two, I can't blame them for taking Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Have you ever seen this dude? He's a monster. A monster. 6'5", 315, and a menace in the interior defensive line, which seemingly would be a perfect fit for that Steeler defense. A day one difference maker on defense. So I understand why they passed on Shedeur. For this dude. Now you might ask yourself, if that dude was not available at 21, do they still pass on Shedeur? I guess we'll never know. But this much we do know. The Shedeur slide became officially official in that very moment. So then you have this narrative today, and I'll even bring it up with our guests. Is it maybe not actually a slide? Wait for it. Is it not a slide if the NFL never viewed him as a top prospect? You know, was this driven by the public? Was this driven by Vegas books? Was this driven by everybody other than the only people who ever mattered? You see me working. Is it possible that the NFL actually never saw this guy as a top pick or even a day one pick? I mean, maybe. I can't speak for the NFL. I don't really know. But I can tell you this. 365 days ago, the day after the first night of the draft last year, he was plus 100 to be the first overall pick. Not plus 100 to be a first round pick. Plus 100 to be the first player taken off the board. The betting favorite to be the first player chosen. Then as the year went on, the odds got even better. During the season, he was all the way up to minus 180 to be the first overall pick. And that was as recently as mid-December, meaning you had to bet $180 to make $100. That's how much of a lock he was to go first, and that was mid-December. So at some point in the last 4.5 months, he went from the minus 180 favorite to out of the first round altogether. So if you're not going to call that a slide, the hell would you call that? Find me a better word than slide. How else would you describe that? He went from the betting favorite to being out of the first round altogether. So I don't know where or how the NFL viewed this dude back in December, or if in fact it changed over the draft process, right? My point is, did they never see him as the betting favorite, or did teams think really highly of him until they started to talk to him? and saw the way his season ended. I don't really know, but something happened. Something had to have happened in the last 4.5 months for him to go from minus 180 to be picked first overall to falling out of the first round altogether. That's what's called a slide. That's one of the all-time classic examples of a draft slide, actually. But I don't want to make this entire recap about a guy who wasn't even picked. So let me keep moving. There is more. I want to go back and talk about the 4th overall pick and talk about Will Campbell and the Patriots for a second, because that seems like a match made in heaven. It seems like a pretty telling pick for the Pats. Now, there was that 1 second yesterday where I brought it up. Like, is there a way that maybe they take Ashton Genty 4th overall? Maybe. But they didn't. And I didn't think they would. In fact, I said it. Get Drake May some help. Get Drake May some help. Now, here's what I cannot believe. I can't believe this is the first LSU offensive lineman drafted in the first round since Alan Faneca in 1998.
Years.
That is a crazy stat.
Years.
And there's a reason why this kid, Will Campbell, finally got it done. He is different in a lot of different ways, but we saw it clearly last night. Check out this amazing answer that he gave on the stage right after he was selected.
I've worked my entire life to be up here, to be able to get my name called by a franchise like New England. It means everything to me.
We can feel that. We absolutely can feel that, Will. You are brought to New England to protect Drake May. What kind of tone are you going to set on this offensive line?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I've got.
Yeah, my man. Through tears, he says it. I'm going to fight and die to protect Drake May with everything I've got. Hell yes, big fella. That's exactly what I want to hear. And more importantly, that's exactly what Mike Vrabel wants to hear. More importantly, that's exactly what Drake May wants to hear.
I'm going to fight and die.
Get it, big dude. You can already tell just by that one draft pick that the vibe is changing in New England. Man, you got to be excited about that, Half Fam. I'm pumped for you, Half Fam. I've got more. The next pick that popped to me was made by, believe it or not, the Raiders. At number 6, they get their dude, and they did not have to jump up to get him. It worked out perfectly. They grabbed one of my favorite players in the draft. The autumn wind just started blowing a little harder because that stud, Ashton Genty, is now a Raider. Day 1. Impact back. Plug and play. Get him in the lineup. Get him the rock. Let him go. That's pretty much what the gum assassin promised. After all, Pete Carroll promised a quick turnaround. That's exactly the kind of guy that can help make things better. Now, a complete turnaround, I'm not so sure. But he can help make it better immediately. Carroll wants to run it. He's made that clear. Chip Kelly wants to run it. He's made that clear. Genty wants to run it. He's made that very clear. Now, let me make something clear. The Raiders had maybe the worst running back room I've ever seen last year. So hell yes to that pick. Raider fan, you got to be hyped. That might even bring Raider Mike out of the woodwork. Genty's already incredibly accomplished. All right? Great college career. Big-time vibe. Big-time personality. He is perfect for Vegas. He fits a need. He's got the swag. I love that pick. Love that pick. But try as he may, and man, he tried hard with what I'm about to get to. This is about as close as you could come to making something work that will never work. It's impossible to make it work. I'm talking about my man's Crocs. Look at this vibe. Look at this fit. All right, so an amazing suit. An amazing suit. Lauren, can I get a look at my dude's footwear? Check out the Crocs. Dude. Like, a suit and sneakers is one thing. Not my bag, but to each their own. unless their own is a suit and Crocs. Suited and booted, always. Suited and crocked, never. There's no amount of ice that you can glue to some Crocs to legitimize them. You cannot legitimize Crocs, not by themselves and not with a suit. No amount of crystal is going to class up that. Crocs, I mean. Listen, if this guy shows up and does what he says he's going to do, he can rock whatever the hell he wants. Except that. Check him out, man. Iced out Crocs. Next, there's more. I'm not going to run down every pick, but there was just so much happening last night. Like I said, not at all a sexy draft talent-wise coming in, but it turned out to be a really intriguing first round. Not sexy talent-wise, but sexy narrative-wise, but the Crocs are not sexy, no matter what. Even he can't sex up the Crocs. And if he can't, nobody can. The next interesting pick, number 9, the Saints. We thought the Saints were going to end a 54-year drought by finally picking a first-round QB for the first time since Archie Manning himself in 1971. We thought so, but... yeah, no, they weren't. They took an offensive lineman, Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. And I'm not sure that his baby is a Saints fan. Or maybe that baby was already looking ahead to when the baby is 21 and on Bourbon Street. Because the baby had a violent reaction to that pick. Check it. Watch this kid. It's coming. It's coming. Here we go. Daddy's a Saint. Oh! Daddy is a Saint. Oh! Baby puked on mama. Daddy worked his whole life for this. Daddy is about to make generational wealth for baby and baby's babies. That poor baby. Man, they'll have that forever. Like forever and ever and ever. They'll have video of that. That poor baby was like Jake and Rogues watching Space Jam 2. That poor baby was like, the NFC South? Gross. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alex. Thank you. That baby was like, all right, so who's our quarterback? Oh, Derek Carr. Oh, is Derek Carr even staying? Do the Saints even have a quarterback? Is Derek Carr the quarterback? Is the quarterback's shoulder even all right? Of course that kid's puking everywhere. Anyway, so much for that narrative that they're finally going to take a quarterback for the first time in the first round since 71. The double manual buzzer / puke. I was thinking the same thing.